So we actually have a variety of programs for the Esports Association. One is career readiness. So we actually work with the Career Center here to better prepare our association members to learn those life skills that they are going to need so that when they make that transition over to a career pathway.
Awesome, awesome. This guy, we gotta turn around. This guy wins almost every tournament we throw. I'm telling you. You gotta watch him live. He's gonna be something big. I'm telling you.
CSUDH Esports Association is centered in 4 domains: academics and research, community engagement, competition, and entertainment.
We're trying to make sure that the students are prepared for the future, that they understand the diversity that media offers now, and again, look beyond the traditional outlets.
They can gain fieldwork, partnerships, as well as potential job opportunities and in both the higher education and K-12 fields.
We believe that esports is a strategy and not an outcome. Our association is here to help anyone that is willing to learn how to take your gaming skills to the next level through a supporting community. If you are looking to showcase your production talents to help support our esports teams, then this is the association for you. We host online and on-site tournaments that will allow our members to showcase their competitive spirit. Our association broadcasts out our competition and practices to entertain our community as well as our global audience. We believe that by joining us, you will come out of the association feeling transformed and better prepared to transfer your skills into your career. Join today and begin to explore endless opportunities through our Esports Association here at Cal State Dominguez Hills.
Okay,
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, how's it going? How's it going, everybody? All right. Well, since you're all here tuning in, just go crazy on the chat. You know, this is a nice evening, if you will. You guys are going to be joining us in our esports channel. This is a special edition. This is all for LSBA. And you have your fearless leader, Maria, here, who will be moderating and leading off with the questions.
Yeah, so welcome everyone. Welcome LSBA family and CCDH Esports. It's an honor to have you, Ruben. So thank you again for making this time for LSBA and being here for any questions that we have for you. So if you're ready to go, I'll get started. Yeah. And before I get started, you guys are more than welcome to drop any questions on the chat. I know I asked you guys to add some questions onto the form that I submitted on the chat. So I have them in front of me. So if you already asked the questions, you don't have to ask them again. I have them here. But you guys are more than welcome to ask the questions like I mentioned. So we'll get started. So first question, Ruben, can you share a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So, so I've been working at Dominguez Hills for almost 10 years. I work for the College of Education, and I also work for the IT academic division. And I am the esports academic advisor and general manager. And I'm someone that I'm a first gen graduate from my family, and somebody that would say that gaming really helped my personal life and actually obtain certain accolades. When I was going to school, I was somebody that did not like to read, hated reading and writing, and used gaming as a way to help me essentially propel and advance my vocabulary and my writing. So a lot of what I do with esports now, it's a big piece of what I believe that has a strategy to help those kind of mechanics, those hard skills that are important, that translate over to anybody's concentration and study. But I guess that's a little bit about me in a nutshell. I can go super deep if you like.
Um, I think we're
Yeah,
good.
surface level stuff. That's
Yeah. Okay, so next question. What game titles do you currently play or used to play?
yeah. Gosh, so I don't play anything competitively, to be honest. Our students really are the ones that are in the competitive scene, and some of them are in the casual scene. And I would say I'm more on the casual side. I do like to play Among Us, which is one of those up and coming games that is just fun to do leisurely, right? It doesn't take too much brain power. So, and then other games too. I mean, I do like uh, my favorite game title. If I had to throw one out there, is for anybody that's on chat, uh, you know, that's listening on this, is Legend of Zelda. So all the Zelda series really, and Breath of the Wild is by far my favorite game title. That I just, whenever I have a chance, I'd love to get onto it and just get connected.
Cool. Yeah, I'm not really a game person, so I really don't know much about that. But I'm sure there's a lot of people on here that do games, so and you guys could relate. Okay,
Sure.
we'll jump on to the next question. So, why is esports keeping a gaming community important to you, or why is it important to you?
Yeah, yeah. So I just know what it did to me personally. Somebody that, again, didn't like to necessarily, read and write. I know that there's a lot of power in gaming. There's a lot of learning actively, right? You're not just sitting there like how most people want to perceive it. There's a lot of activity happening, a lot of problem solving, a lot of critical thinking. And so all of those are good soft skills that really contribute to what it is that you're going to do and whatever it is that you're studying and you're learning. Yeah, I would say there's a different level, right? When you say esports, you're thinking immediately, hey, you got to be super competitive and you have to be somebody that is completely on guard and super alert and attentive. And those are all great attributes that come with time, right? Everybody has to start somewhere. And so I see gaming as something that is where a lot of people are in now. And if you can take away something that you are always striving to get to, because the experience of a game should be something that people like to do because there's a good experience from that, right? I don't think anybody goes into a game thinking, I'm here to have a bad experience, right? We all go with that intention of, let's have a good time, right? Let's see if I become the victor, right? Let's see if I get really close to a high score, or let's see if I do beat the high score so I can brag to my friends. Things of that nature, that you take away experiences, you take away all those positives, and you try to translate it over to anything that you're doing, essentially in academia. And what we do here is to essentially showcase that. So whenever you see our our e-athletes out there competing against other schools, what they're really doing is they're showcasing their skills. They're putting it all to the test. Many of them practice, um, routinely. And so they're showcasing all the things that they know. They've problem solved a lot of scenarios. And so now they get to compete and showcase it and represent Dominguez Hills, which also makes it fun to view because you want to root for your fellow Toros. And it's really neat when they do all sorts of moves and combinations that come with the actual game, because it's a strategy. It's all mental, right? And so I think all those things are great. And also at a time like today, where we have to find different ways to outlet some of our pent up energy, if you will. There's people that are highly competitive and need to find that outlet. And you get a chance to do it through a form of a video game. And so we are able to cultivate that, and we're able to actually help people get to certain spaces so that way they become not only a better gamer, but really in turn like a better person. So that way when they walk out from that gaming experience, win or lose, you understand a little bit of more perspective on what you're going to carry with you um, to the next thing that you're going to be doing.
Yeah, I really think that's really amazing. How you guys really, besides thinking about every esports as a whole, you're thinking also about the individual and how they're seeing the motivation and how it's impacting their life and the people around them. So I think that's really great. All right. So what is some advice you can give to our students that are interested in pursuing a path in esports?
Gosh, that's a great question. Yeah. First of all, I would say get yourself connected, right? You have an association already established. I would say because we have an actual group, you have a community that is really there to support one another, is what I love about our gaming community. It's very tightly niched, very open arms. No one's there to bash anybody. It's really just say, hey, you like to game? Great. Let's have this experience and get connected in a different modality, right? This is the way that we now meet. It's via video conference, right? And things of that nature. But you get to also have this experience, which could lead into friendships and other further bonds just through the method of gaming. So I would say get yourself connected, join the association. It's totally free, and you don't have to be like, oh, a certain rank to be at the association. It's as simple enough as going to Toro Link, typing CSUDH Esports, and joining that way. So it's one aspect, and then from there, what you really get out of that whole experience is you're going to get what you put in, right? So essentially, we have members that are really the ambassadors or the champions that want to start something like a new game title to appease the community. Like, I'll give you an example. Um, FIFA has been a big one for us. NBA 2K has been a big one for us. And so we're looking to branch out in the sports side so that we can start developing a team which connects in turn to major tournaments so that we can see, hey, let's see where we're at. And we can showcase those skills, make good connections with other colleges and other institutions. And then you just never know who's watching. That's the really cool thing, is that you could be watched by, let's say, EA, who's hosting this tournament, and you've just gone further along because you just gave it a shot. And all of a sudden you get looked at and get tapped to say, hey, do you want to play in our team, or do you want to play in this league, or do you want to join us in the other aspects that comes with esports, not necessarily gaming, like the production side. And then further along, you're getting a lot of that experience that also matches what it is that you're learning, and seeing how you can integrate those components to make you a more informed gamer, or somebody that is in the role of esports.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned to me that you guys are continuously looking for people to join your team. Can you jump into a little bit of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say we structure it. It's all student based and centered. So when we say we have these teams, it really led to, by the students, right? So it's just a mutual interest. Like, hey, you know, is there a FIFA team, for example? No, can I start one? Great, absolutely. If you develop the interest within the community or even outside the community, meaning somebody that goes to Dominguez Hills but not yet part of the association, you can definitely bring them in, and then that way start developing a team around that. And so we help you essentially get organized, right, to develop a schedule, to develop even a stream, if you will, teach you some of those technical skills, and then give you resources so that way you're informed and you can say, hey, I took away this experience from the time I was in the Esports Association. So there's going to be a lot of technical skills that are very helpful to inform even in the career side. And so that's the really neat. So you kind of get a little of that training to kind of beef up even your resume, to say you've got some of those technical skills under your belt. And so in turn, forming the teams like that are again all student centered. That creates and generates a lot more interest, and then we find positions for you to actually showcase those skills, whether it's something as scrimmages, right, against other teams, or just tournament plays, right, against other institutions. And then sometimes it gets to a point where you start doing a season, right, like a whole conference league. And again, you represent Dominguez Hills. We support you and our community as well. And so we basically become your biggest fans. And the goal is to propel you into those spaces and partner you up with even coaches to help you in that space as well. And these can be coaches from within our institution and outside our institution too, that have experience from other coaching spaces that they've been in.
Okay. So I'm kind of I think this kind of jumps into some of the questions that the members kind of
Yeah,
asked me. If you're okay with that, we could start asking those questions if you're okay with
yeah,
that.
absolutely. Yes, please.
Okay. So how did CSUDH even start in the first place?
Yeah, CSUDH
CSUDH
Esports.
esports, I mean.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. So we started 3 years ago, actually, in 2017. And it started with like a club so small. And it was just students that just wanted to get together and play some games and not necessarily go back home because they had classes later on that night. And so it was a good way to just like bond, build some kind of community. And I believe the person that's the founder, his name is Fernando Monet, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he's also part of the LSBA. So big kudos to LSBA on that. So that's really cool how everything is 6 degrees separation there. So and so that's how it started. And then all of a sudden, as time went on, it started to grow with more students interested in, hey, you know what? Let's bring our equipment. Let's bring our consoles. Let's bring even our TVs, just things of that nature. And so we would go into Loker, and a lot of these setups would be right there. And so it got to a point where it started becoming a fire hazard. And so we had to basically find spaces, right? And we all know, for some that don't know, I'll just share. You know, there's a lot of building happening and construction happening at Dominguez Hills, and so it was really hard to find spaces to house our community because we started to grow in the hundreds now. And so because of that, our goal was to always try to promote and work with other associations. So that way we can host either mini tournaments, things of that nature. So that way somebody can have an experience. And the neat thing about all that was it started to propel even more so. And, we just officially became 3 years old back in August when we renewed the association's standing. And that's really a lot of the origins, if you will. And then with COVID, that happened just like everybody, right? We all had to delay and cancel so many of the events that we had planned, but we decided let's just keep going. And this is the part, Marie, I'll share, deeply with everybody, is that we all had a meeting in March, and literally that Friday, I'll never forget it because our we went to shutdown on Thursday. So the day before, we had a whole cabinet meeting that we had to basically cancel, right? But we decided all of us to get together in a Zoom session, and everybody said, "Look, I think we need esports now more than ever." And so that really spoke to me, being where I stand and where I sit, is that students need this. And some would say, Ruben, this is the only part of normal I get, is to connect with my friends this way. And that tells you something, right? And so we decided to push forward. And we've noticed that the esports industry in its whole, and then also for us as an association, we became more active than I've ever seen us ever in all the other years combined. So it kind of shows, yeah, no one's a fan of COVID, but the silver lining is that it really drew us a lot more closer, more niche, more family oriented. And we keep ourselves very closely communicated so that we know who's doing what and celebrate those successes.
Yeah, and kind of jumping back to what you mentioned in the beginning, those who don't know, Fernando Murnay is an alumni
Yeah.
from LSBA, so he was part of LSBA, and but I didn't really know myself that he was the founder of the Esports Association or had any relation to esports. So that's really amazing to hear. But yeah, I think esports is definitely going to keep on growing from now on, and it's really, really big now. So you're in a great place. And I know a lot of the members here are really interested in esports.
Cool.
I'm not sure if I think there's questions on the chat. For some
Yep.
reason, I can't see them.
Yep.
Um, I
Yeah.
don't know if you
Let's
can
see
help
here.
me with that.
No, I'll definitely help you. Yes. Thank you. And thank you for those who are inputting your questions. So I see here, is there a FIFA Pro team? If not, are you planning on making a FIFA Pro team for DH? That's such a good question, and so timely too. So I will share. So over the summer, I got a chance to talk to one of the actual LA Galaxy esports athlete who was the first person to get signed by the Galaxy, and really cool story. We'll definitely put it on chat later on, or I'll share with you, Maria, to share with everybody on LSBA. I did a talk session with him, so you can see and check out the live interview that we did with Giovanni. And he is local, he believe and lives in San Pedro. And so he competes competitively, and actually, I believe, started the season in October, so last month. And so great ties there. And because we're super close, right, and where we are geographically, he's a big supporter. Our FIFA interest showed really high when we hosted a tournament before COVID. So it was really cool to see that there was a big community that were into the world of FIFA. And I would say personally too, FIFA is a game that I love to play too, even back in my day. And I'll jump on the controller if I can to play FIFA. So I'm a big fan. And as far as a pro team, we don't have a pro team, but we do have somebody who is starting the FIFA team and is getting connected into the EA tournaments. And so again, this is where we support you kind of grow naturally, because we organically want to grow, right? We don't want to force anything. We just want to see where the interest is and go where that interest lies. And so to answer your question, we are definitely into that space. And because we have a good network and with the LA Galaxy, it would be something that we definitely want to merge and see if we can make something special happen. And the LA Galaxy, I believe, has 4 athletes that play professionally with other MLS athletes as well. So great question. So more to come. Awesome.
Okay, so I'll ask a question from the ones that I have on here. So kind of changing the direction of our conversation. So what does your job consist of? What do you do on a daily basis? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. So as advisor, much of it is to ensure and to review a lot of the opportunities and events that the students wanting to generate within the association. So we have hosted events and tournaments. We've co-hosted, we've participated in helping of events as well. So anything that would essentially give our students a chance to really excel in what it is that they're doing with their skills, and also put us in a position that would make Dominguez Hills as a whole to look good. I'll review a lot of those plans, if you will, those planning and developing. I do essentially attend all the cabinet meetings, things of that nature, the leadership meetings, so that we ensure we're essentially moving into that direction where the organization is always going to be stronger and stronger. My day to day is I do write letters of recommendation. Many of our students have gotten themselves plugged in, especially over the summer, by obtaining some internship work, and some that have led into paid internship work that have led into job positionings, which is really awesome to see, especially in this time of COVID, how they can work remotely too, which has become a big attraction, right? I don't know about you, Maria, but like for some people are like, gosh, I love working from home now that they got a taste, but some are like, get me out of here.
Yeah, that was kind of me at the beginning. I was pretty much handling 2 jobs at home. I mean, I still am, but now I just want to get out.
Yeah.
I can totally relate to that. Yeah.
So it becomes like a catch there, but for the time being, things of that nature is what I focus in on. Is how can I help propel our students into those spaces, so that way they can get into either what it's closely aligned to what they're studying, or getting them into that position to start thinking career pathway. So I do a lot of even resume building too, um, to help them into those spaces, so that essentially they're building their portfolio and they're really building what it is that they're taking away from their college experience. And I have to say, I don't do this alone. I've got our producer here who is helping us produce all of this, Yusuf Andrews, and he does a lot of guidance too with our students. If you ever need any help, even in the biggest thing to the smallest thing. I mean, you can ask him, hey, how do you do a certain command within the video game? He'll give you an answer. He'll give you a plethora of information and resources, to even more adaptive, complicated problems that he'll help you solve along the way. And so I have the pleasure to work with a really good team that are in that space, is serving our community as general, the student body, that in turn are serving the community as well.
Okay. I see. I'm able to see the chat room now.
Okay, sweet. Yeah.
So what are some challenges that you face as a manager?
Yeah. So, we're always looking to, we're not afraid of conflict, basically. We're always looking to understand both sides. And whenever I say conflict, I'm talking about not only things about the game, but also things that led us to a space that we have disagreements on, right? I'm happy to say that the organization really is open to listening, right? We always need to understand both sides. And because there's a lot of passion in where we are at in this space, because at the end of the day, people do want to have that space to actually outlet. We have to understand how do we navigate, especially when there's some emotion sometimes tied to it. And so, as the general manager, you really have to take a step back and always think about what's good for everyone, and not just one or two people, right? What's going to give you the greatest outcome, but that it's not always going to be popular votes on your side, even if it's not even best for everybody. And hey, you know what, this is going to be something best for the long term. So things of that nature, which are a lot of the adaptive ones, because it's very infused with technology. There are technical problems that happen, but what I love about the community is troubleshooting is something that comes second nature to everybody, because either we have been the ones in those positions and now we want to help the community, or we understand deeply, like, hey, yeah, it sucks when you don't have your stream up and you're trying to promote something, or you're trying to showcase to your friends or family that you're playing live, and you need some assistance. So the technical issues are also things that you have to help out and troubleshoot. But the community responds, right? When you have more than one person, you're able to address this and learn from that too. You go, oh, I didn't think of that idea. That's brilliant. Thank you, Yusuf. Thank you to other members that are in the org. And so, and then also too, when we're into the competitive spaces, like it's also understanding, where other teams come from as well. You know what I mean? If they have, advantages or disadvantages, it's you also have to kind of understand those ins and outs so that it puts us in the best position to be always in a fair, equal ground. Um, and then give us the best chance to compete, and at the same time you hope to succeed as well.
Yeah, it seems like you do a great job. I'm gonna have to come to you for some advice as the president. Um, so I'm gonna keep on asking the questions on the chat just to get
Cool.
those. Um, so what would you recommend for someone looking to get their foot in the door into esports industry, for production site planning, etc.?
Yeah, great question, and thank you for those questions. Keep them coming. So the neat thing about esports is for LSBA specifically, we're all business oriented for the most part. There is so much opportunity with business, whether it's marketing, management, finance, accounting, you name it, everything uh, that you can take your skills and translate it into the industry. I highly recommend a baseline level knowledge. And because you have an association in your campus, right? Or your virtual campus, if you will, um,
Mhm.
to use us as a resource, use us as a platform so that you can propel, right? Use me as your resource to help you not only get educated in the space, but also help you in supporting and backing you up to put you in the best position to look good. At the end of the day, we want everybody to look good. So if you're needing, hey, Ruben, for example, I was working with one of our team captains because later this weekend, we got ranked number 4 out of 12 schools of all of SoCal to perform in a League of Legends tournament, which will be hosted by an esports professional team called the Immortals. And they'll reach out to say, hey, Ruben, we need some advertisement and marketing. Fantastic. I know a couple of students that would be able to do that right away. Those students get that experience because they'll create it. They'll get some of the guidance from me, or sometimes it's from their professor. Fantastic. They'll create something in a timely manner, and then they get to showcase that work. That alone shows you, hey, I can say I can put this under my belt, and I can essentially get into the space where um, I can talk to anybody from the esports industry and say, hey, I started off in my association and build my reputation slowly but surely, or just got more involved and donated some of the volunteer hours, and gain that internship spot and role to make me more prominent. So then we connect you to people to the actual career oriented spaces and get you connected to some of the CEOs and some of the people that are hiring. I'll give you a great example. One that was done over the summer, we worked with this company out in Australia, um, and they're called GGWP. And so they wanted us to test their application before they launched it. And so we tested it. And not only were there really good recommendations from our students, but they all got personal letters from the CEO thanking them, and then also commending their work to further along their skills that they're going to be taking into for their resume building and for what they're going to be doing in the future. And not everybody was a business student. Everybody had a different background, which made this even more spectacular, which was very telling. So that's what we do in a nutshell. And I can get really detailed, but that's sort of to give you an example what it looks like to be part of an org. It's, yes, you get to play some games, but really there's a lot of learning and a lot of networking that happens. And then you get to also connect and showcase your skills through the gaming spaces.
Yeah, so for everyone on the call right now, if you don't have Ruben on LinkedIn, I highly recommend you connect with him. And I know I'm not sure if some of you guys here have gone to the workshops that we've had, but some of the things that I've taken is that after you meet these people, such as Ruben, who are amazing people, really professional, um, to get in contact with them, especially if you obviously interested in esports, please get in contact with him. I am sure that he will be there to help you or in any questions that you have. So please get connected with him. And if you have any questions, please let me know and I'll reach out to him. But yeah, please get connected with him if you don't have him on LinkedIn yet. And then I'll continue with some of the questions that are on the chat. So, what is your favorite and least favorite part of the esport industry?
Uh, you know what? That's a great question, because at the end of the day, when you see a problem, we could look at the problem, stare at it, and we can just hate it all we want. But if we look at that problem and turn it into, hey, you know what? There's an opportunity here. Then it becomes something more willing to work at, right? But I will say this, we at Dominguez Hills, first of all, I love Dominguez Hills. um, I love our community. We're one of 23 CSUs, right, in all of California. And so, um, we represent such a high diversity, which, again, it fits right into how I even grew up, right? And so, 90% of our population are people of color, and that's big. And there's no other CSU that comes close to us. So again, it makes us unique. What's missing in the esports industry is more diversity. So guess what you get at Dominguez Hills? Diversity, right? So essentially, how that is a problem that I see. That is something that I'm not too happy with, right? But I see it as, hey, you know what? If we can grow a community, which we have, and keep growing, then the industry, if it wants to propel any higher, it's going to have to think diversity, right? So you don't have to go too far. You go to Dominguez Hills and actually take a look at some of our students who are doing pretty amazing things. I mean, I'm only going to talk and brag all day long, Maria, about our students. So uh, essentially, that right there allows the industry to see industry leading practices, right? Industry leading models. And when I say models, like I'm talking about the whole infrastructure of how an organization is built, and to see what it is that these students are doing to showcase their abilities, and also gaining new ones too. We have people that have never gamed, and they're in the spaces taking those courageous steps, but not being like thrown in there, being guided and being also understood that this is all new. And then the other piece too that I'm not too of a fan of, that is in the esports industry, is the problem of inclusion. So there's not that many female competitive gamers out there. And here at Dominguez, we have a big female population as well. So that to me presents, yes, there's a problem, but I see an opportunity, especially for our campus, because we do represent a high female population. And so, how do we get our female gamers or those who are in the casual spaces to get into the competitive spaces? That's something that we're continuously working on. But I've got to say, this isn't a problem just for Dominguez Hills or other schools. It's definitely a problem, a big problem all over, that there isn't much in the scenery. And so what we're trying to do more than ever is try to Rubik's cube this and help out. And really starts with our culture, right? If you're going to build an inclusive culture, it really starts with understanding what those problems are now so that you can address them, and then be able to take actionable steps to say, okay, this is what the process looks like, for us to get to those spaces that we know is going to help bring our female population up, and at the same time get into the spaces where we can celebrate their competitive nature. And at that point it becomes true raw talent and skill, that gets highlighted and cultivated, and in turn it can help the industry.
Yeah, so if you're a girl on the chat, I've never
Yeah.
been into sports like me,
Sure.
just get in contact with Ruben too.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that's really great, and I think it's really true. DH is really diverse campus, and
Yeah.
I've been able to go to other campuses, and I've experienced the same thing. And I'm sure the fact that when you think of like video games, you straight off know like, oh, guys just play video games.
Right.
But I think it's time for girls to step up the game and to start
Yeah.
getting to the sports community.
That's right. That's right. And there's
So
more than one way too, Maria. And I love that you just shared that. Step up your game. Alliteration there of the words. But it's not just the gaming. Like, this is what I mean. There's also the production side. There's also, hey, how can I tie in what I'm doing in my business project and also use esports as a vehicle to showcase my skills and what I'm learning. We will find that. Does not matter what it is, whatever it is that you want to do, we will find a way so that it works within esports. And so, again, I've had people reach out to me saying, "Hey, Ruben, I make more money in doing the production than actually playing the game, so I go into the production side." Fantastic. That's true for many people, right? But it's whatever it is that you're passionate about. We will find that, and we will essentially put it in a position where we can best highlight your skills. But yeah, sorry, just want to
that's
throw it out there.
okay. So I'll ask some of the questions that I had asked that were brought in last week and this week through our forum. Um, so do you have any advice for graduating students who haven't really taken any step into what they think they like, or they haven't really taken any step at all? What are some advice that you could give them so they could kind of start looking into what they, the ultimate career plan?
Yeah, great question. And it's something that we had to also very early on, like I would say, like a month into COVID, when we didn't know, right? We were just like, what's going to happen? One of the things that I took away is everyone's going to remember the pandemic, right? Once we get out of this, because I'm an optimist, we will get out of this. Um, Everyone's going to remember it, right? 2020, such a blur. But everyone will remember this at some point in their lives. And the number one thing that future employers will ask you is, what did you do during the time of pandemic, right? If your response is, well, I really didn't do anything, I kind of just, hung around, uh, that's not an answer that you want to ever give, right? You want to be able to say, hey, I put myself out there. I rediscovered a talent I had, or I put this business idea to the side, and I actually had more time to actually start doing it. Your college time is so precious, and it's mainly because this is a safe space to make as many mistakes as you want, because it doesn't become so costly, right? By the time that you actually get into the career space, those mistakes become costly. So it's best to test out the waters in as many organizations or as many school projects. Treat them as an opportunity to increase your experience, visibility, knowledge base, and then in turn, make those networks now. It really starts now. And in that way, you just never know who you're going to meet on the other side once you graduate. Now, for those, because I do get this as an academic advisor, I'll get some of our seniors that are going to be graduating this fall who are always asking, hey, Ruben, I'm going to need a letter of rec. I'm going to need an internship role of some sort so that I can gain some experience, turn the things that I like in gaming into something that I can actually apply and build my resume or my website or my digital portfolio, etc. All of those things are great. And essentially, I will help you no matter what. And it's to connect those dots for you, right? Where is it that you want to go? But if you don't know yet, let's experiment with a couple of industry spaces. Esports is a strategy, not an outcome, meaning you don't have to go into the esports industry after you played a video game or after you joined an association like esports. What we're teaching is essentially take the skills that you're going to obtain from this space so that you can transfer it into whatever launching path that you want to go into. And then you get to experiment. And the thing is, where you go afterwards, it's not necessarily going to be the most dreamiest job ever. It might be just, hey, you know, it's what I got right now, so that I can build up to something I want to get to. And this is what I mean about building a network, because those people that you're with, your cohort mates, your other classmates, your other organizations say, hey, did you get a job here? Yeah, absolutely. You know what I mean? I can put you a reference down. Absolutely. Like, you need those kinds of bonds and relationships. So keep people always in mind, and at the same time, help them out too. Hey, can I help you out in something that you're working on? I mean, it takes those little helping hands that, even though you may not get the credit, but the fact that you offered the help, you get yourself more knowledgeable in the spaces of other people's interests, and you get to hear their perspective, just so that it needs to activate a little bit of, hey, maybe I do like this and I didn't know that I liked it. So I would recommend, as much as possible, stay connected. I know it's really hard that we can't be in the same spaces, but video conferencing is great. Streaming is great. You know, getting on a call is also another alternative. There's more ways to do that. And also now with esports, I'll throw this into the picture in the mix, Maria. We've been connecting with so many people around the world. You know, I think one of the questions is, like, coaches. Like, I'll just share this. Like, we have a coach from the UK who coaches our Call of Duty team, and I mean, just brilliant coach. What a mind! How he sees things very strategically and helping our students into those spaces. We're doing this through, hey, we have this dream and mission that we want to be, you know, highly ranked, but we need help. And when you connect with people, you're connecting with other people that are coming from different spaces from around the world, and you just made a network right there. You can say, hey, I actually know somebody from the UK, and if I'm ever out there, I can connect with them. You know what I mean? And you have that experience that you both shared, and it leads into something else, right? So as much as possible, networking is key. Reaching out to people and what they're doing and their interest. Keep those close contacts. So LSBA, because you guys are such a tight niche community and family, you know, keep them together, and don't be afraid to try something new. And you know, just know that you have resources out there at Dominguez, and you know, please use me as a resource. I'm happy to help.
Yeah, so kind of adding back to what you mentioned at the beginning, kind of reminded me of what and actually an LSB alumni kind of gave me advice on, which is do your mistakes in college, doing your mistakes in your internship, do your mistake at your current any position that you have, because after you graduate, it's going to be really hard for those mistakes to pretty much just pass and like they would have in an internship, because probably on an internship your boss would have been like, oh, like do this differently. So it kind of reminded me of what she told me
Yeah.
maybe like a year ago,
Mhm.
which is really really true. And so also I know we have some of our LSB members on here. Don't be afraid to ask. Just like Ruben mentioned, we're here for a resource. I'm here for as a resource as well.
Yeah.
Even though I'm a student, I'm still constantly meeting people. And I actually didn't really know Ruben. I actually um, reached out to him on LinkedIn probably
Yeah.
like what a month ago, month and a half ago, and he responded back, and I'm so thankful that he responded back, and because I'm here with him and providing him as a resource for you guys. So it's always important to reach out, even though maybe you don't know this person, but knowing how to reach out to them the right way. So really, really thankful for the opportunity.
Yeah. No, thank you, Maria. Again, you know, I'm somebody that's first gen. English was not my first language. I had to learn a lot of, like, how do you approach people? You know, like, how do you, like, kindly ask for their time? You know what I mean? And so I'm someone that understands, you know, even that process. You know, sometimes it takes me a little bit longer to even get to that space. So, but you know, for those who maybe are a little shy out there, um, not to worry, you know what I mean? Make those mistakes with me. It's okay. I won't judge. I'm really, grateful and honored at the same time. But all of this is to help our community understand, like, hey, we want to build you so that you essentially feel more confident when you do graduate, which is a big accomplishment already, knowing that a full-time student like yourself having to juggle, work life, personal life, and student life. And then when do you get that extracurricular life, right? When you get a little bit of me time, you can do that with our association, and in turn also see how it can propel you in those other spaces that we just talked about.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna jump into another question.
Yep.
As a marketing major, you're a marketing major, right?
I am. Yeah. Go marketing.
As a marketing major, what are some tips, tricks, or advice as to what to expect in the real world?
Yeah. So I was taught really early on, everybody, in the world of marketing, that business is easy, right? Yeah, we can all say we want to open up a business. That's fine. But as a marketing student, I learned how to be really strategic, right? Be a planner, a little bit more of a planner. Like, it's good to have some kind of idea and baseline knowledge of something before you just throw an idea and it just tanks. It's why I mentioned test out the waters as quickly as possible. And if it fails, great. Just fail quickly so that you don't spend too much time and energy resources, because all that can contribute to dollars, right? To money.
Mhm.
Um, I truly do advocate for the network, right? Building your network, because it has a lot of net worth. So I kind of use those words interchangeably, because as your network grows, your net worth grows, and your ability to market and to actually find dots to connect those that people are not connecting, you can be that seeker and finder with something that is planned, proposed, and strategically implemented. You will get to that dot that people don't normally see, and then you're able to form a community, because in turn that's really kind of what you're doing, is you're keeping a community active and you're growing a community at the same time. And to do that kind of work, it's not easy. So if somebody says, "Oh, marketing is easy," not really. It's a lot of hard work. So it's I have mad respect for anyone that's pursuing marketing. It's not to say I don't have mad respect for other ones, but it does take a lot of study, patience, and some creativity as well, to actually put all of those skills together to help an organization, to be part of a helping team and embodiment that's going to move an organization forward.
Yeah, and as a marketing student myself, I've heard the same thing, and I could totally agree. Even though I haven't really stepped myself into the workforce, I could totally agree to that. As taking an internship and having a job, it's definitely you definitely have to be really, really creative, and think outside the box. And it's not just in marketing. I'm thinking, but it's any other major. So
That's right.
always perfect to think outside the box.
Oh yeah.
So another question:
Yep.
do you see yourself being as a esports general manager for a long time, or do you see yourself taking a different role in the future?
Yeah. Gosh, I haven't really thought of that. I kind of live day by day. but but it's like, I always like to think, I want to grow as many people as possible. Like, that is a goal of mine personally. And yeah, the position where it stands, it's general manager. But yeah, I'd love to, have somebody else eventually get to that spot, and in that place that I know will feel very comfortable and feel very ready and prepared, so that way they can take the association into different spaces that will essentially help everyone. So as far as timetable, I don't know. That's a good question. I would be extremely enthusiastic, to get more people into those spaces, so that whether it's general manager or other high roles, to be in those spaces, because that tells us that what we're building has solid concrete, and then again, it gives us that chance to grow more people. That's the whole point of this.
So jumping kind of into this kind of same theme, do you have like a specific memory or specific event that if you look back from 2 years, that you would totally remember as general manager? Do you have a specific memory you could think of?
Yeah, I have a couple of them, but there's one. It was pre-COVID. It was back in February. We got a chance to work with um, a couple other organizations, but we did the homecoming event um, at Dominguez, and this was to promote the men's and women's basketball at the end of the day. But I remember that day because there was other scheduled events like kickball, 3-on-3 basketball, um, softball, things of that nature. And that weekend, that Saturday, it rained and it stormed so bad. And so I get a text message late in the evening saying, Ruben, you're the only event happening prior to the actual homecoming event. So I'm like, oh, wow, that's great. That's great. The pressure's on, right? And so I remember, and I know Yusuf's on this because he remembers well. We really, we prepped for weeks to stage this event, to have everything, to have the room, to have the equipment, to have the right connections. And then on that same time, we were getting interviewed by Spectrum. So Spectrum actually came out to do an interview and do a commercial for us, which was really neat, right? They wanted to see the process of what we were doing. And so having that raining, having all sorts of attractions that now have to be inside because they were scheduled to be outside, like this beautiful balloon arrangement that had to go inside. We didn't know if we had enough space, all this stuff, new visitors coming. Oh my gosh, it was madness. I don't think I slept the night before, and I got to the campus like at 4 a.m. just to make sure things were ready to go. But all in all, Maria, that leading to that preparation led to a magical event. We had tons of people that got a chance to be interviewed, which was really cool. So prior to this, us going on air, playing the promo, that was that commercial that Spectrum shot. So it's the homecoming event, and we had over 100 people, which was max capacity. People did come in the rain, which was crazy to see that, which was really awesome because it was the biggest thank you. So all we could do is give you the best experience, right? You just came in the pouring, storming rain, and you're running with, some people didn't prepare with umbrellas because we didn't know, right? Some of the stuff was just going to be bad. It wasn't just light showers. It was like heavy rain. And to see some of our alumni then later on who never seen esports but brought their kids with them later tell me, Ruben, you gave me a bonding experience with my son that I've never had before. And I told immediately, like, you can't give me the credit, it's everybody here. You know what I mean? Everybody had a helping hand, and you can see everybody, those who participated to those that actually did the actual setup to make sure that this space looked magical, like an arena inside a classroom, which you would have never guessed, right? And so much creativity. It led to really cool sponsors that we got a chance to work with, shoot commercials with. I mean, it led to something really magical afterwards. And it was really cool to see the community come together like that. So that one to me is a precious memory because it was pre-COVID and, the madness that, things that could go wrong went wrong, but it just got turned around into something so magical that, what can I say? It's why I hold the association, all the students near and dear.
Yeah, that's great. I don't remember that event, but I am more than 100% sure that was an amazing event,
Thank
and
you.
wish I was there. But yeah, I think I want to thank you, for coming out and sharing your experience, giving out your advice to our LSBA family.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it. And then just one last question.
Yeah.
We pretty much just touched all the questions that we had. And then just the last question. So what do you pretty much do on your free time? Do you play? Do you?
I know, right? What do we do in our free time now? Gosh. Um, I'm somebody that likes to bulk up in some reading. So I'll just share with you. I do have some books that I'm reading right now. So this one is the book of esports. So you take a look at that. And I do have another one that I research. So I like to do that in my spare time. So esports and edu. So for everybody to check out. Um, Easy reads, awesome reads. It kind of gives you a little bit of background. So I'm continuously researching and learning more. I don't claim that I know it all. Nope. I'm a student too of it all, of the industry. And so I like to do a little bit of reading, and if I do have some spare time, I'll definitely jump in and I'll play a round or two. Sometimes the one that has been getting me a little bit more closer is this game called Valorant, which we do have a team. We have multiple teams actually that compete competitively, and get to compete and get some national attention, which is really cool. And I love, like I said, Breath of the Wild. If I get a chance, it's so peaceful to watch beautiful, graphics being displayed to a childhood memory game that I hold near and dear. And so, as much as possible, I'll do that and try to connect with some friends too. Just because it's crazy, right? We all need to find ways, and so that's kind of what I do in my spare time.
Sounds like
Yeah.
a lot of reading,
A lot of reading.
some fun here and there. But thank you so much for coming out. I hope the LSBA family enjoyed this session with you. And definitely get in contact with Ruben and ask him any questions. Let him know that you're coming from LSBA so he knows who
Yeah.
you are. So thank you so much, Ruben. And yeah, thank you so much.
No, thank you, Maria. Thank you. And for the LSBA family, thank you so much. And again, any questions, doesn't even have to be related to esports. I do have a business background. Happy to help in any way, shape, or form. And yeah, hopefully we'll do this again, in another session.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, you guys take care. Have a great night and be safe.
Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in.
Bye.
Bye.